In the serene village of Kpando, nestled in the Volta region of Ghana, where lush green hills met the winding Volta River, lived two brothers, Kofi and Kwame. Their home was surrounded by towering mahogany trees and fertile soil that glowed under the sun. From their earliest days, the brothers were at odds. Their quarrels were as constant as the river's flow, and no one in Kpando could fathom why. Kofi, the elder, was lean and thoughtful, his words measured but cutting, like a blade honed by patience. Kwame, the younger, was steady and quick-tempered, his eyes always alight with unspoken fury. They were the sons of Nana Kweku, the village chief, a man whose warm laughter and gentle wisdom were known far and wide. Yet, despite his efforts, his sons' hatred for each other grew like weeds in a neglected garden. Nana Kweku bought them identical machetes, they broke them. He offered them equal shares of yam, neither would eat if the other was near. He prayed, he pleaded, he even sought the guidance of the village elders, but the rift remained. The villagers whispered. Perhaps they are cursed, some said. Maybe they are not true brothers, others murmured. But Nana Kweku knew they were born of the same mother, Oma, only 2 years apart. He remembered their childhood, when they had once played together, their laughter echoing through the compound. But something had changed, something buried deep, and no one spoke of it. The brothers' feud was no secret in Kpando. If Kofi was pounding fufu in the courtyard, Kwame would refuse to eat. If Kwame was fishing by the river, Kofi would rather go thirsty than drink from its waters. The village women gossiped at the market. Is it about a woman? One asked. No, they have no lovers, another replied. Their mother, Oma, had long given up trying to mend their bond. They are lost to us, she said, her voice heavy with sorrow. One evening, under the sprawling baobab tree in the compound, Nana Kweku gathered his sons. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold. My boys, he said, his voice trembling, must I pass into the ancestors' realm before you find peace? Kofi stared at the ground, arms crossed. Kwame's jaw tightened, his eyes fixed on the horizon. The silence between them was louder than any storm. That night, an old woman named Mame Adzo, who lived near the edge of the forest, arrived with a cryptic message. The spirit spoke to me, she said, her voice raspy like dry leaves. One brother hides a truth, and the other flees from it. Nana Kweku frowned. They were children when this began. What could they hide? Mame Adzo's lips curled into a knowing smile. It began before their birth, in the shadows of the past. As she spoke, a sudden gust of wind swept through the compound, and a crow dropped a single black feather between the brothers. Kofi glanced at it. Kwame met his gaze. For the first time in years, they spoke in unison. You remember, don't you? The wind grew fiercer, rattling the trees as if they, too, held secrets. Nana Kweku stood between his sons, his eyes searching. Remember what? He asked. Kofi turned away, his shoulders tense. Kwame clenched his fist and stormed off. That night, the sky unleashed a torrent of rain, thunder rolling like the drums of war. In their separate rooms, the brothers whispered the same words to themselves, he will never speak the truth. The next morning, the village was abuzz. A chicken had been found tied to a pole in the market square, its feathers plucked, its body lifeless. Beside it lay a broken clay pot, filled with charred herbs. The village elder, Toby Mensah, called it a sign of buried wrongs. The ancestors are restless, he said, his voice shaking. Nana Kweku summoned the family to the courtyard, where he had invited Mama Efua, a blind seer whose visions pierced the veil of time. She arrived, her wooden staff tapping the ground, its carvings glowing faintly in the morning light. Her eyes were hidden behind a blue cloth, but she stopped before Kofi and Kwame. Their blood is one, but their spirits clash, she said. The earth beneath them trembles. Soon, what is hidden will rise. She placed a smooth black stone, streaked with a red vein, between the brothers. When this stone breaks, she said, the truth will come. Then she left. That night, Kofi dreamed of a dark forest, where a voice called his name from a hut with no door, only smoke curling from its roof. Kwame awoke screaming, his hands caked with dirt, though his room was locked. What is happening to us? He whispered, staring at his trembling hands. As Kpando prepared for the Homowo festival, the brothers clashed again. Kwame had carved a wooden stool for the family shrine. Kofi, without a word, tossed it into the river. Why do you hate me? Kwame shouted. You started it. Kofi retorted. They grappled, tearing at each other's clothes as villagers watched in dismay. Nana Kweku pushed between them, his voice breaking. Enough. You will destroy us all. Oma, pale and trembling, whispered, we must take them to the shrine. This is beyond us. That night, as rain fell softly, Nana Kweku sat alone with the black stone. It was still intact, but its weight seemed to carry the family's pain. He whispered to it, whatever curse grips my sons, release them. Lightning flashed, and from Kofi's room came a scream. Kwame burst out, shouting, he tried to kill me. Kofi stood, holding a shard of broken glass, his eyes wild. Nana Kweku fell to his knees. My sons, you will tear this house apart. The next morning, a strange mark appeared on the compound's gate, 3 red dots forming a triangle. No one could explain it. The black stone, untouched, began to crack. The red mark on the gate grew darker each day, as if feeding on the brothers' anger. Nana Kweku's strength waned, his once vibrant spirit dimmed. The brothers' hatred spilled into the open, they insulted each other at the river, in the market, even during village meetings. Children mocked them, calling them fire and flame. But the black stone told its own tale. Each day, a new crack appeared, until one night, under a full moon, it shattered with a sound like a gunshot. Mama Efua returned, her staff striking the ground 3 times. It is time, she said. The villagers gathered under the baobab tree, the moonlight casting long shadows. Mama Efua raised her voice. No spirit rests until it is heard. The truth has been screaming for years. Kofi tried to speak, then stopped, tears welling in his eyes. I didn't mean for it to happen, he whispered. Kwame stood, his voice shaking with rage. You took what was mine. The truth poured out like water from a broken dam. Years ago, when Kofi was 10 and Kwame 8, a tragedy had unfolded. Ama had given birth to a daughter, a child Nana Kweku adored, calling her his little star. One afternoon, while Ama was washing clothes by the river, the brothers fought over a carved wooden toy, a gift from their father. Their argument grew heated, and Kofi, in a moment of anger, pushed Kwame. Kwame stumbled, knocking over the cradle where the baby lay. The cradle tipped, and the child fell silent. When Ama returned, the girl was gone. Terrified, Kofi blamed Kwame, saying he had pushed the cradle. Ama, heartbroken, believed her elder son. From that day, she looked at Kwame with coldness, stopped braiding his hair, stopped singing him to sleep. Nana Kweku, trusting Kofi's word, grew distant from Kwame. Kwame, too young to understand, stayed silent, hoping the truth would fade. But it never did. The hatred took root, growing into a wound neither could heal. Nana Kweku sank to the ground, his heart shattered. All these years, because of one lie. Kofi sobbed. I was a child. I didn't know it would break us. Kwame, tears streaming, turned away. I carried it because no one believed me. I lost my family. Silence fell, heavy and still. Mama Efra struck her staff against the earth. The ancestors have heard. The truth is free. Now, healing can begin. That night, the red mark on the gate vanished. The air in the compound felt lighter, as if the spirits had exhaled. For the first time in years, Kofi and Kwame sat together under the baobab tree. They spoke no words, but the silence was not of anger, it was of shared pain, the first step toward peace. The village of Kpando watched, hopeful but cautious. Wounds do not heal in a single night, but in the heart of the brothers, something had shifted. The bitter brothers were no longer bitter. They were simply brothers.